Hey, what's up, guys? So in this video, we're going to go over a lot of fundamentals of any type of business, but especially agencies and the different types of models that you could use and some creative stuff that you could do to make your offer better, make it more scalable, and recoup more revenue, have lower churn. So if are somewhat business savvy and you watch a lot of stuff, some of the stuff might be repeat, but it's good to go through and just understand the fundamentals. I think there's a couple different types of agency business models in here that we leverage or we work with agencies that leverage that you guys will find valuable. So this is straight from Hermozi, his book, $100 million offers, but this is the value equation. So if you guys haven't seen this, there's four components. There's the dream outcome. So when you're going through remaking your offer, doing a new offer, starting your agency, you want to go through these four steps and see how you can increase the top side, which is the dream outcome and perceived likelihood of achievement, and decrease these two to equal value. So first is dream outcome. What does your prospect want? If you're an agency, they probably want more sales at a cheaper cost, want to do less work, etc. Perceived likelihood of achievement. This can be done in a few different ways. One can be the actual proof that you have, so testimonials, etc. Or I'm going to go into these different types of models that you could use that give someone more of a perceived likelihood of achievement. Time delay, so what type of systems do you have, how easy is it to onboard, etc., to get someone to that spot that they want, that dream outcome. And then effort and sacrifice. Is it something that your service is, you guys basically do one thing and they have to do 10 things? Do you guys handle all 10 things? They have to do nothing. Those all go into what a customer perceives value as. Now, an example of an offer statement that you guys could use, we help target customer get desired outcome by offering product benefits within time frame and guarantee. So an example of this is we help roofing companies 2x their sales with our roofing hacker workshop. So you guys can name it, or you could add exactly what the benefits are and the features are in less than 3 months, or your money back. So the money back is the guarantee. So after you start to develop this, and like I said, the further slides down will help you guys understand and give you guys some ideas of some ways you could structure your agency or change your offer or test out a new offer. But if you're just starting out, if you guys have already done this, you can skip the video, but is you want a desirable niche. So you want something that's growing. They have purchasing power, so you don't want to basically go and push something that's like, homeless people, because homeless people have no purchasing power. High ticket usually is better because you have to get fewer sales to generate them in ROI, right? If you're selling widgets for $5 and helping your customers sell widgets for $5 and you're running ads for them or you're doing reactivation, you're going to have to sell like 1,000 widgets for plus to charge a $5,000 a month. Versus if you sell to roofers, like the example before, is if you get them one sale, roofers make anywhere between $6,000 to $10,000. They're already net positive or even. And then you get a second sale, it's much easier to validate. Those usually have longer sales cycles. So the actual product has longer sales cycles. So you probably want to make sure that when you get someone to sign up, you make them sign up for a few months, and you also set the expectation that there is going to have to be, it's called a look back. So they have to look back. Let's say you give a roofer a lead on day one. We work with roofers. So let's say you give them a lead on day one. You're not going to see sales for probably 30 to 60 days. So usually we do a 45-day look back to say, hey, listen, don't calculate your spend versus your return today. After 45 days, we'll look at what your income is versus what you spent. So that's all expectation setting on the front end. Your competitors, if you're in a very competitive niche and you're just starting, obviously if you're already working that niche and you have a brand, it's much easier, but you don't want a ton of competitors. Competitors is good because that means that people are buying, but you don't want to dive into an industry that there's 1,000 competitors, especially if you don't know how to differentiate yourself, which we're going to go into that down more slides. And something that you're somewhat passionate about, because if you're going to be talking to these people every day, you want to pick something that you're passionate about, that you know something about, that you don't mind talking to that type of people. You'd be surprised. I'm sure dentists are much different than roofers. So if you hate talking to dentists, but you like talking to roofers just because they're different type of people that understand different type of things, you should probably go with roofers because you just hate talking to dentists. So a good niche example is chiropractors. They're growing. People need adjustments, back pain. There's usually some type of reoccurring there. Purchasing power, most insurances cover it, and most people want, you could target very specific people who have higher incomes, higher ticket, adjustments. Usually you're selling like a 10-week or 10 visit package. So this is usually a longer term customer with reoccurring revenue, as well as its higher ticket. And competitors, there's a lot of competitors. Like I said, there's good things to that, there's bad things to that. You want to have some competitors in there because it means that there's purchasing power and people are actually buying. So there's 4 different types of models that you guys can basically build around. Even if you have your own agency, you could test out one of these models. And we've tested all 4 of these models. So from experience, I'll go into our experience, but all of these have validity. The traditional model is basically you pay us money. Part of that money, either you put your card on the ad account, or you pay us the money directly and we put our card on the ad account. We take the ad spend internal. We run ads for you or some type of service for you, reactivation, etc., for a fixed monthly fee as a retainer. And you basically get the service. So the great thing about this is usually it's very scalable. If you're offering the same type of service, it's something that you don't have to have variable pricing, so you know what your revenue is going to be every month. The problem with it, even though the revenue is very stable, is that a lot of times, especially with smaller clients, the amount for you to service these people, so you to hire a third party, or you hire media buyers internally, or you to do it yourself, it makes it difficult because if the retainer, let's say it's a $5,000 client, let's say they pay $2,500 for the retainer and $2,500 in ad spend, is the amount that they're paying in ad spend versus the retainer is basically 50-50. So you have to take $2,500 and make them at least 10 to 15K off of that. Which usually with these smaller budgets becomes difficult, even with high ticket. It's really when you start to scale those clients, and let's say they're spending $20,000 in ad spend and they're spending $5,000 on retainer, where those clients make more sense because they're spending more in ad spend or whatever the service that you provide is versus spending in the retainer. That difference helps you generate them more of an ROI. So that's just one drawback from this. I've seen people scale this to 8 figures very easily, especially if you're good at your service. There's a lot of people who offer this. This is the most popular model. It's the easiest. That's why it's the most popular. And it's very easy to build the infrastructure. So you're also competing with a lot of people who have the same offer. So just remember that you want to differentiate your offer, whether it's from more proof that you have a better product or service, or your actual offer. And if you just go out and say, hey, $2,500 in ad spend, $2,500 in management, or whatever it is, there's probably 100 different companies in your niche that are doing that. So it becomes very crowded and there's a lot of noise. So it's hard to differentiate yourself. Now, the second model is using a software. We'll go into it a little bit deeper in this, but they're called ping post softwares. So this is something that you could set up on one side, all of your buyers or your clients. On the other side, you could generate leads directly. So the benefit of this is that you could have one large campaign. Let's say you do roofing, where you only run roofing ads, but you push it through what's called a ping post software, which I'll go into deeper. If you guys need help with that, please message me and I'll explain it a little bit more. But basically what the ping post software, it's like an auction. So you generate leads, you work on your own campaign, or you can bring in, they're called publishers, so other people who bring in leads, and you can add a margin onto them. It's kind of like Amazon FBA, and you sell the leads to your client. So the benefit of this is it's very scalable. There's less campaigns to manage. You could leverage other companies' marketing and basically add a margin on top and then resell the lead through your network. It also is something, because you're taking a margin on the lead, you don't have to charge that huge upfront ad spend and management fee for them. So now you're basically making it so they're more likely to get an ROI, because instead of it being that 50-50, usually you're taking anywhere between 15 to 25% on the lead. And you could do it where you take prepayment, or you could do it net 30, which is after 30 days. You basically request an invoice and the company pays it, which a lot of companies like. And it's a low capital expense to start, especially if you leverage other companies' marketing that have a good reputation. You know that the quality is going to be there and that they could fulfill volume. So now you're basically just finding buyers, and you're trying to just sync up buyers into your network. Pay-per performance. So this is a much higher risk. The revenue is unstable. And saying that, just like a salesperson, right, is that the ability to scale and generate more revenue from a client is very high, especially if you're good at what you're doing. It's also very, very easy to sell. There's more income potential per client. You have lower churn typically because you're paying on a performance basis. Depending on how you structure, and we'll go into in this course how you can structure it to automate it, it's hard to scale, but we've actually figured out a way to make it very, very easy to scale. We use this a lot in our company, Greenwalk. The pay-per performance, it doesn't have to just be on sale. It could be on any metric. So let's say you generate leads, you could do a pay-per performance on appointments. You could do a pay-per performance on demos or SAT appointments. You could do a pay-per performance on sale. So you could structure it in multiple different ways to basically get to where you could sell these things much easier. A lot of companies, including myself, we have certain models that are paying posts or traditional, and then we have add-on models that are pay-per performance. So they have to do the set revenue, but then we have pay-per performance models. Feedback loop, this is super important. We're going to go into this throughout the entirety of this course, but in any of these models, especially the pay-per performance and the paying post, and the last model that I'll go through, which is a hybrid, you need info to complete the optimization. So you need information from your clients. So getting disposition reports or deal stage reports, getting data from your clients is tough. That's why through this course, we show you exactly how to automate that and make it super easy and very scalable. But being able to get that data back, whether you're running the campaigns, you're buying from sub-publishers, you run a different type of model where you do reactivation, is very, very important, because you have to find not only for that client what's working, but also among all of your clients, especially if you're niche specific, what is working. So you could take data from one and apply it to another. That's how you quickly enhance your campaigns and your product and your service to be able to scale and have that lower churn. And then data analysis and aggregation. Again, we show you this exactly how we have it set up in our agency, which is an 8-figure agency, and we've worked with other agencies who have set this up. But you're going to want to set up, which we walk you through step by step in this course, how to actually take that data back that I just mentioned, the feedback loop, standardize that data. So take it, and every client has different dispositions. They have different ways of aggregating data, different columns, etc., different custom fields. You want to take that, standardize that to one type of layout and format for your company, be able to actually now view that data, see patterns, and be able to basically make correct decisions because you have the correct data, not only for that client, like I said earlier, but among your whole agency. You could see it for all of your clients. And again, we go through this step by step in this course. There's multiple videos on it. I'm just touching on it right now. Watch the rest of the videos. Trust me, it will be worth it. Last model, so of the four, is a pay-per performance hybrid. So you could do it in a multitude of ways. You could do it with the traditional and have a pay-per performance aspect, or you could do it with the paying post and have a pay-per performance aspect. Basically, in this model, you set up the initial. So I'll do an example for traditional and for paper for ping post. Is that, let's say you have a client and you say, hey, instead of charging $2,500 for management, we charge $1,500. You spend $3,500 in ad spend, but for every sale that we get you, you pay us $500. So you have part of the upside. You cover your costs and make a little bit of profit with the actual monthly payment. You allow your client to have less risk. Like I said in the first thing with Hermozi's value equation, is perceived likelihood of achievement. That's decreasing risk, um, and it's also on the bottom of the equation as well. And you're able to now have a client who could use more on ad spend, and you're getting compensated on the sales aspect, which allows them to scale more because they're fronting less cash. They're paying you on a result. It builds more trust and more of a partnership, much easier to scale. In the ping post aspect, we implement this sometimes with our ping tree, is that you could be selling leads, and on these ping post offers, you could choose the percentage that you are taking as a margin when you sell a lead, whether it's from your own sources or from third-party sources that you add as publishers onto your campaigns. What we do and what we implement for some of our larger buyers is we reduce the percentage. So we usually take 15 to 20%. We might reduce that to 5 to 10, and we do the same thing as the traditional. We basically have set up, and this course literally walks you through and shows you a tool that we built that makes it so you can automate that whole process of the feedback loop and the commission-based billing or rev-share and a bunch of other cool stuff, standardizing the data, getting the feedback from your clients, completing the feedback loop, etc. But we take less of a margin, but then we take it on a per performance basis. Some of our clients, it's per demo. So we send them a lead, they book as an appointment. If they run that appointment, it's qualified, they pay us an additional amount on top of what they paid us for the lead, or we do it on a per sale basis. So they pay us some for the lead, right? We make a smaller margin, but we get paid and compensated a larger amount on the sale basis. That has gotten us so many more sales, has reduced our churn. Our churn internally is less than 1% a month. So it allows for you to build trust, you to make more revenue. We probably make more revenue per client by doing this. It allows you to get more of the upside of your client. It allows them to scale more, which then you make more money because you're getting paid per performance and making a little bit on that delta of what they're spending versus your service and how much it costs to provide your service. So overall, this is what we implement the most. We're going to walk through step by step in this course how you can implement all of these things, but I would definitely look to potentially implement parts of this model into your agency. It's very easy to sell, and we have developed systems and a software that makes it so that it actually is easy to scale. If you do not have this and you don't have these systems, it's difficult, but if you do have them, it's very easy.